KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
Welcome for clocking in. Welcome back. Welcome. You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. That was an appropriate song to bring us into hour 2, Stand by Eminem, because we are going to be having a conversation around celebrities and privacy. You know, we were just talking a little bit about Keke Palmer and her sharing her thoughts about the process that she went to come to terms with and sort of understand where she was at with her sexuality and how that continues to roll out for her. And she's been very open about various things in her life. Obviously, we know a couple of weeks ago we had heavy conversation surrounding her and her son's father, and you know, the things that happened at the Usher concert sparked many, many debates. And as I said, this isn't a new conversation for Keke. She had a video that came out in 2016 that sparked conversation around it. It featured Cassie in the end. She was like cheating on her boyfriend in the video. And at the end, we see that she's cheating on her boyfriend with Cassie, of course. And the song was called I Don't Belong to You. So, Trent, what are your thoughts about Keke and her being open about this and sort of how the conversation is unrolling?
I don't know. I'm a bit biased in a lot of ways. On one hand, I applaud anyone who comes to terms with their sexuality, especially Black people, because something we don't discuss openly. There's another side of the coin that women get a privilege to be more bisexual and more sexually fluid and open in their expression that Black men just simply don't have, because where she can have this conversation and be open and not be attacked for it, Dwight Howard can't have that conversation.
No, he can't. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah.
It's a very...
But I will say, and not to interrupt you, I think that it is a new phenomenon that she could have that conversation. I think that in other cultures, it was more accepted.
Yeah.
I think that it's just been sort of in the last 10 to maybe 12 years where the idea of a Black woman being bisexual and owning her sexuality like that wasn't immediately cast in another sort of light, so to speak. So I agree with you wholeheartedly that they do have a privilege in that aspect over Black men. I wouldn't say that it was totally accepted either.
Correct. And then there's this new thing about even bringing up Black and gay, because now there's this whole gay agenda movement that people think that it exists. Let me just say, I don't know what it's talking about. It don't exist, especially not for Black people. So let's toss it out the window. But she could also be a target for promoting this invisible gay agenda that kind of just doesn't exist. So I applaud it on one hand, but I wish that we were. And here's the thing too. What I'll say about it is I'm glad that she's having the conversation, because maybe it will allow us to continue to have the conversation around Black sexuality, where people can be a little bit more receptive to the conversation, and a little bit more progress around the conversation.
I think it's important that she's having the conversation with Raven, because we know that
Yes.
Raven famously made the choice to come out later in life, and definitely was not something that people expected from little Olivia
Yes.
from the Cosby Show.
Right.
So I think that in that aspect, I agree with you that it's important for people to have venues and platforms to have those conversations and discuss it. And hopefully, if there's someone out there that her bringing this up helped, they got, what they need and they don't feel as
Sure.
alone. But it kind of brings up an interesting point, and I bring this up based off of a conversation that we had last night with Miko Grimes on the show, and also because we're seeing a lot more of artists get into it with their fans and have situations, right? And
Yeah.
and some of it, a great deal of it stems around privacy. Like, for example, we saw Doja Cat get into it with her fans. She was upset because they're making variations of her first name, and she didn't like that they selected the name Kitten, and they're very critical of her in her dating life, and she basically told them to ABCDE off, and that, you don't know me. They were upset because she didn't say that she loved them. We saw something similar. We know that, like, JT from the City Girls, she gets into it a lot with fans. Young Miami, Carisha got into it with fans following the Rolling Loud Fest because of what she did with her son. Recently, and this is a side, but shout out to Lakeith Stanfield, because he announced that he is married and has a new child. He kept it a secret. He kept the birth of a child a secret. He also kept the name and sex of the child a secret, because he said that there's life before being a parent, and then there's life being a parent, and it completely changes things, and that they wanted to keep something for themselves. He said being in the public eye can be something that's amazing, but it also can be something that's very hard on you. He shared this with people with the announcement of the wedding and the child. He said there needs to be things that exist that are sacred and not for consumption for everybody. There's a reason for speaking out now. We want to be the ones to tell our story. We're bringing our family forward so that we may inspire others. So, Trent, a little bit, what are your thoughts on this? Because Miko's position, and I don't disagree with her, I don't think it's everyone, but she said that a lot of celebrities really don't like their fans, and I don't think that she's off base with that. So what are your thoughts around that?
Here's the thing. You and I feel sometimes I feel weird talking about celebrities because of my orbit of celebrities, okay? Celebrities are nothing more than people. That's all. So do people get on your nerves sometimes? Sure. Do you not feel like talking to your friends and people all the time? Sure. So it's human nature. I think we have put, celebrities on this pedestal and quite, naturally, but also it's kind of comes along with the territory. You have to share a little bit of yourself, especially when you are a singer, a brand, people are buying into you. There's a certain expectation that people have access to you, and it's whatever you set up. So, for instance, I have a podcast. I talk about my life on the show all the time. People feel like they know me. In a sense, they do know me because I talk about personal stuff, but they don't know me, every day. They don't know me all the way like, let's say, you or somebody else would. But at the same time, I know because I am a public figure somewhat, I have to give a little bit of myself and information about myself. It just comes along with the territory. Are there some days I don't feel like talking? Sure. Are there some times where I'm out and people, might recognize me? And sure, it comes along with it, but you don't have to be rude about it. There's certain ways to say I love you to somebody without saying it, You don't have to be weird. You don't have to make it an issue.
Well, when we come forward, I will share my thoughts about Standem and what I think is going on with all of this. And we'll get into more trending topics and headlines. We have a little something on Cam Newton And he had an altercation with some fans that goes along with this topic, but he's also in the news for some other things. We're going to get into that. We're also going to talk a little bit about Kevin Durant and some of his comments. And we're going to share an experience that Idris Elba went through in his past. And he explains it's why he no longer intervenes when he sees certain interactions happening when he's out in public. All that and more, you're checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCEL scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe here live on KBLA Talk 1580. We are talking about celebs versus fans. Are stars getting tired, burnt out on their fans? So before we came forward, I mentioned that there was an incident that took place with Cam Newton. Cam is a former NFL player. He's not retired. I think he's just chilling right now or something. You know, not picked up by a team. However, he was out in New Orleans at a football camp visiting, and there were some teens that were heckling him from the side. One of them said that, I can't remember who the player was, but basically that this player was Cam's daddy. They were popping off. So Cam went over to the sideline where they were and was like, "What's up? You know, you wanted my attention, you got it." And they're like, something, basically, you're the same as us because I don't have any rings either. And Cam was like, "But my bank account is bigger than yours, right? Just slam dunk it. And I know people think that's petty, but Cam's point, and he said it to the young man, he was like, now you're trying to play the victim. But when I was over there and you were heckling me and you wanted the attention, you were all for this and you didn't care how you disrespected me. So now that I've come over here and I've given you the same energy back, you want to play victim. And so I do wonder if where we're at right now, I believe that Stanism is a personality type for a lot of these people. It is how they define themselves. It gives them something, a sense of belonging almost, something to do. And I think that it is a little more than just, I really enjoy your music. I really enjoy what you give on the field. I really enjoy, how you put that together. I think that people have a sense of ownership, and those boundaries seem to be
blurred.
Very much blurred. And I think that although, yes, fans are absolutely important. You would be nowhere without your fans. Fans are what are funding you to be able to be out in front in this lifestyle. They are paying attention to the project and things that you are working on. But at the same time, that doesn't give you ownership. That doesn't give you agency. And much like you said before we went to break, that it doesn't mean that you really know the person. Yeah. So I kind of want to touch on that. What do you think? Don't you think there is a certain subset of fan, and they're becoming larger?
Sure.
Because Cardi B, one of her fans will say that in quote, asked her today on Twitter, they commented about that it's been 5 years since she put an album out. And Cardi was basically like, F you, don't worry about the album or whatever. And so I think that it's a place where you're much more accessible than you've been in past times. So, Trent, what are your thoughts? Keep it real, friend.
Again, it's a toss-up. So, I think that social media has enabled this behavior because it has taken away all the mystique of celebrity of yesteryear. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
You could not go and see, wake up in the morning and see what your favorite celebrity looks like before makeup, what kind of eggs they're eating in their dog.
Yes. However, you can control that. And I think that Beyonce does a good job at that. I think Janet Jackson still does a good job at that. Even though we know all this stuff about Janet and Beyonce, they still maintain a certain level of mystery, and they don't really feed into the online hysteria a lot of the times unless they're promoting a project or something of that nature. You don't have that access to them. So I think that celebrities have a part in it too. You don't have to really feed into it or, buy into it. And you can it's boundaries, just like anything else you do.
I think I agree with you. It's boundaries, but don't you think that, realistically, right? Some of those guys, for example, that I brought up with the Cam Newton situation, they're going to be telling their grandkids about that. That was a moment of their life, and they antagonize in order to get a reaction so that they can take away from it. People aren't happy like with just an autograph.
How old were they?
They're not happy. They look to be about high school age.
Okay, so that also makes a difference. They're kids. So, in hindsight, in 20 years from now, it means something now, but in 20 years when you mature and you look back on it, you might have a different, response to it then. So, they're kids. Kids are going to be kids.
Kids are going to be kids, but here's the thing, as far as like social media and stuff like that, we don't really know the difference sometimes who we're talking to, who we're reacting to, who is,
But see, here's the thing, you don't have to engage.
You don't. I absolutely
You don't have to
agree.
engage. You don't even have to be on there. You know what I'm saying? And it takes a lot of self-control, and sometimes you want to respond and say, you don't have to. Respond with your next song or respond with your next album. You know what I'm saying? Just don't even engage.
But to your point, if you start off that way, do you have to finish it? If you think of someone like Cardi B, who her very thing was her connection via social media. Her part of what carried her along is that she was so connected with her fans.
Yes.
That she would have those long conversations with the fans and go through that. So do you think as an artist, to your point, you need it. Social media is definitely a part of the marketing plan right now. It is how, we move things along. We stay informed. So how do you balance that with your private life? Because you're entitled to one, and you're entitled to make moves without having to think of what these strangers feel about how you're living your life.
Limit yourself to what you do. Don't go, you don't have to be on live every day. You don't have to take a picture of your food every day. I'll even use myself as an example. I would not be on social media if it were not for, having a show. Because I just, I don't care. But for instance, for the last couple weeks, I haven't even been posting a picture of myself. I've been like writing notes, right? It just kind of, doing something different and, not having to have my face out there in my business, but still staying engaged and connected in a different way.
So in the chat is lit. They have a lot to say on this topic. Forensic accountant said, "Thank God I'm old. I like my artist shrouded in a veil of secrecy." T. Sworn said, "I agree. There's too much transparency today. Nothing's a mystery. Everything takes away all the celebrity magic." And he also said, "Trent the artist, that part, like I said, no more mystery, which kills the celebrity magic." And forensic accountant also added, "Hoping it won't take another Rebecca Schaefer incident to remind people how out of hands that can be." So for those that aren't aware, Rebecca Schaefer was a young white actress. I can't remember the name of the show that she was on back in the day. It was like Sam and Me or My Sister and Me or something like that. She was fairly young. She lived in West Hollywood off of Melrose Avenue here in the Los Angeles area. And someone from the show was a stalker. They found out where she lived. They walked up to her door, rang her doorbell, and shot her. So, it does happen. We hear about break-ins in homes. I think, Justin Bieber, Rihanna,
and
Selena Gomez.
Posting pictures of your house, tagging where you are. You got to be a little smarter than, you can't, like, for instance, going live at a party or at a club. You don't need to do all that. Take pictures and do it when you leave. Or not at all. Let people just see you and show up and be surprised. Don't tell people what you're doing, where you're going, how you just show up.
But content is a 24/7 machine, and I agree
Let
with
me tell you
like
something.
that, but
show up and somebody's going to film it and the content is going to be there for you. There's always somebody, you can guarantee that somebody's going to be holding up a camera.
But you don't know if they're going to hit your angles. You don't know if they're going to put something that's unflattering in it. All of that is a thing.
Ready all the time.
However, you can't do that. You don't know.
I know.
However, but here's the other thing to it, right? I agree with you on that point, but what these fans are targeting these particular celebrities about has nothing to do with just what they're posting on social media. It's just commentary about their life. Doja Cat, for example, has not admitted to being in a relationship with anyone. Now, she's been, to your point, photographed out with this gentleman who's a Twitch streamer who's been accused of various things, but they haven't confirmed their relationship at all. But people are commenting on it and commenting at her, and they don't even really know what the situation is. So I think that we are past the point a little bit. There are things, like you said, that you can do to protect yourself as far as social media, limiting what type of information you allow to get out and pierce the veil. But the commentary is going to come regardless, right?
It's a part of the territory. And something I want to bring up, too, with along the lines of the Cardi B and when are you coming out with the album. They have been harassing Rihanna about an album for the latter part of the last decade. Okay?
They have.
Rihanna has responded probably once or maybe twice to that. And other than that, she's kept it pushing. It is costing nothing to be quiet. You don't have to respond to everything. And she is the perfect
100%.
example of that.
100%. Well, we're going to see how this battle takes out for Doja Cat. We mentioned she has a new album coming out,
but she's
Scarlet.
got other stuff. Doja Cat has always been a controversial figure from the very start. She's always doing stuff, saying stuff. It's, to me, she's just drumming this up for her new album that's coming out, her new rap album.
So you think that she's drumming it? But is this really the way to go about it?
Yes.
Because here's the thing. I see that she had 187,000 people unfollow her social media the other day because of that rant. The album direction is very different. She's been denouncing her first album as pop dribble, basically, that people fell for. I like Doja's album. I can't say that. I think she's very talented. I understand sometimes artists don't like the music that they end up collaborating with and put out, but sometimes the powers that be do seem to know a little bit something because, Doja had hit after hit after hit. And I've heard a little bit, I saw the teaser of her new stuff that's coming up, Scarlet, and she's headlining her first tour. So here's the thing. We've seen how hard it has been for some artists to establish themselves on tour this summer outside of Beyonce and Drake, right? We've seen the struggles with that. I don't know if I think that trashing your fans, your loyal fans, is the best way to go about it, especially when Doja gives a great stage show. She performs her butt off. I don't know, but maybe I'm wrong.
We live in a society where chaos and negativity reign supreme and people thrive off of that. So I'm pretty sure she can capitalize on that.
I mean, okay, go ahead, Doja Cat.
Yeah.
Kitty, kitty, meow.
Not something I would do, but people are doing it.
So listen, we brought up Cam Newton, right? And so Cam is also in the news because Cam was dating a woman from 2013 to 2019. Her name is Kia Proctor. They have 3 sons and a daughter together. Kia also had an older daughter who Cam took in and sort of raised as his own. They broke up because he cheated and had a break baby. These things happen, right? So during the course of the relationship, he had given her a Bentley, and he purchased it in 2018 solely in his name. He claims that he allowed Proctor to use it while they were in a romantic relationship. Well, when they broke up and she was leaving the home, he said that she could use it to transport herself and her stuff, but she couldn't keep it. Well, she did. And now he's suing her to get the car back, right? But she has his 5 kids, 4 and the one he's acting responsible for. So what are your thoughts? Why is it that it seems like men of means get so very cruel when they separate from these women? And why are they hitting them with these lawsuits?
It wasn't cruel. It's not your stuff. It's his stuff. The car is in his name. I'm pretty sure he carries the insurance. And guess what? If something happened legally, guess who's going to be on the hook for the car? He is, not her.
I mean, of course, but here's the thing. I mean, he's still going to be probably on the hook for several things. I'm sure he has They have 4 children. They were like stair steps.
It's not her stuff. Nothing is in her name. And when
you
you go into situations like this, you either need to negotiate up front what the expectation is or what it's going to be, or know what you're dealing with. It's not your money. So enjoy the ride while you're there.
Okay, so you're not mad at Cam for the...
I'm not mad at all because it was his legs, it was his body that did all the work, not anybody else's. Anybody, if he wants to share the fruits of his labor, so be it. And that goes for a woman as well. If she wants to support a man while he's there and whatever, it's her stuff. Enjoy the ride while you're there and go home.
Well, when we come forward, we will get into more trending topics and headlines. You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is up next.
Hear this every day, but I'm your biggest fan. I even got the underground shit that you did with Scam. I got a room full of your posters and your pictures, man. I like the shit you did with Rockets too. That shit was fat. Anyways, I hope you get this, man. Hit me back, just a chat. Truly yours.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A witness at the scene of Malcolm X's 1965 assassination says he was never interviewed by police. Attorneys for Malcolm X's family said that Mustafa Hassan, now 84 and a former associate of Malcolm X, was there at the Audubon Ballroom in New York City on that day. He says he heard police ask if the suspected gunman was with us after they saw him being beaten by Malcolm X's supporters. After a 1-month pause in June, another interest rate hike is going into effect. The Federal Reserve is trying to get inflation rates down to 2%. The Fed is raising rates by 0.25 percentage point. In celebrity birthdays, Joe Jackson was born on this day in 1928. He was the talent manager and the father of the Jackson family. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Staples Total Support Plans are your tech plans for the unplanned with 24/7 PC protection against bugs, cracks, and hacks. Plans start as low as $199.99, plus now get up to $250 off select computers. In-store only. Offer ends July 29. See an associate for details. Protect your tech at Staples.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
Have you heard about Lendistry? Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered right here in LA. Once you've started your business, Lendistry provides flexible financing options starting at $50,000 to help you access the affordable capital needed to grow. Whether financing is needed to increase working capital, acquire a business, purchase inventory and equipment, or refinance debt, Lendistry has a solution for you. Lending products range from traditional business term loans and non-revolving lines of credit to SBA 7A loans and commercial real estate financing. Lendistry's pre-application process is simple and does not impact your credit score. Visit lendistry.com/KBLA to learn more and to get started with an application right from the website.
Contracts, and grants. This is Rambo, and I'm back August 5th. Contracts, and grants. I'll be at the Westin Hotel, LAX, Saturday, August 5th. Me and my guests are fast-paced in the contracts and grants. They only speak 6 minutes each. I have LA County, I have the city, I even have Everett, the CEO of Lendistry, coming to talk to you guys. And for the first time ever, I have Metro's Director of Certification coming. We average over 700 attendees, so you know the rules. Parking's about $15 with the event validation, event, coffee, snacks, all free, paid for by Rambo and Lendistry. And yes, you can bring guests. So save your seat, DeonRambo.com. Listen, contract ready's only 2 hours from 10 a.m. to 12. But if you get there around 9:30, I'll probably be doing some Q&As and things like that before the events I never get a chance to do. I honestly keep saying, I don't know what's more important for LA businesses right now than local contracts. So I'm back, Westin Hotel, LAX, Saturday, August 5th. August 5th. It takes 2 minutes to register. DeonRambo.com. Go register now. DeonRambo.com.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, Andy bringing us back with a midweek vibe. It's Wednesday night. Getting it in, vibing. Bringing us in with a peaceful flow. Even though some of these athletes and celebrities are choosing war with their fans. Andy, what do you... See, I want to say Teacher Moses, but it's not.
No, this is not Teacher Moses. This is Amel Leroux.
Okay. Is this from the Brave Bird album?
Yes.
Okay. So, I don't know why Teacher popped in my mind, but I got what album. See?
You know what, Jill?
What?
Hey, I think Trent is like low-key beating you when it comes to this music knowledge.
No.
Yes, and
Never.
can I just say something? And you should have known that LMA last night, by the way, too.
I should have known it.
You should have known that LMA. Come on.
I really should have known.
You should have known
recognized the voice. You know, maybe if it had been Shot Clock or something, I don't know. But I vibe with LMA.
You're right, Andy. Thanks for backing me up. I think I'm beating you.
I'll be surprised.
No. See, here's the thing. No. It only seems that way because you're in your R&B bag right now.
I was just about yo, hip hop top notch.
Yes.
I know R&B too.
Right.
I'm just lacking a little bit, but I know that you can't touch me in hip hop.
I definitely can't.
There's no way.
I'm the R&B guy.
I'm smoking you all day with that.
I'm gonna give you that for sure. I know that.
And so with R&B, where my lane, where it might be a little fuzzy at times, and it fits, like Amel Leroux, I know her work, but I'm much more groove theory than her later work. Like, I rocked with Brave Bird, but like it might be, I'm not a repeat listener per se. I might have a song I like, and it might be the single, but I may not necessarily know deep album cuts for like certain genres,
For sure.
I think that might be what it is. But I feel like I'm going to stand on my music knowledge.
This was a single, wasn't it?
Was that a single?
I think that was I think it was actually the only single, but
low key.
Was that it?
It was it.
Sounded, I could see that. Because though, when
she
that
has
came
like
out,
2 songs per album.
But that album was what, mid-2000s, yeah? Well, I think that it was around that time. And what I do recall is that when she came out, it was very much counter to what, 04? Yeah. Okay, so 04, that's mid-2000s.
I was going to say 06, but yeah.
So the thing is, music was very different then. We were in our shiny suit era. We were in our baller, Def Jam peak, Jay-Z,
R&B
the
was
younger
really
girls.
It
was in a different place.
Yes.
So I feel like that is when, too, a lot of things started changing with radio.
The only album that really mattered in 2004 or around that time for R&B wise was Brandy, Full Moon.
Okay. And, no, not just that.
No, Usher, Confessions.
Okay,
yeah.
And what year did Crazy in Love drop? Was that 2004? Oh,
yeah.
It was 03?
Yeah, 03.
Okay, 03. All right, so, different sound then.
Yep.
Amel, Beyonce. And A. Marie was rocking not too, around there. So, different vibe, but shout out to her. So, we were discussing celebrities and their fandoms and the disconnect that seems to be happening out there, and the celebs seem a little tired and the fans seem a little entitled.
I think the world is exhausted and tired. I think it's just, again, human nature.
I mean, well, really, if you think about it, we're talking alien invasions, a deadly plague, a crazy president. It's been a rough couple of years if you really, really think about it.
Since 2016, we've been on a downward slope.
I'm gonna have to check the astrology.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's something else I want to mention on the celeb things, and I'll let you go. Both Cardi and Doja are what? Libras. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
I love Libras, but sometimes they do a lot.
Andy, are you a Libra? I see.
I'm a Libra / Scorpio.
A Libra. Oh, you're on the cusp.
See, I have a Libra rising and a Scorpio moon, so I get it.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I have about 6 placements in Libra, so that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. All right. You want to know who male Libras are? Because I know I'm off the top of the head. I have opinions about male Libras.
I do too. I do too.
Listen, I'm going to name some male Libras and see if you can imagine, this is just going to be a little quick side, what my opinions are surrounding male Libras. T.I., Nick Cannon, Will Smith.
Uh-oh.
I don't know, just look at them. Who did you say, Andy?
Snoop.
Snoop is a male Libra. I feel like they have a lot in common. And I feel like there's a through line if you are really paying attention. And maybe I'll share it one day. Not tonight, but there's definitely a through line.
They all light skinned.
Andy said they all light skinned. No,
that's not it.
Kevin Durant is a Libra as well. I think Libra men.
She's trying not to offend you, Andy.
Nah, go ahead.
But I'm gonna come to your rescue. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think Libra men they're known to be charming, right?
Yes.
Very charming, but that control hand is strong. They want to steer the ship, and things got to look a certain way. They want things to be presented in a certain way.
Not more than a Virgo.
Probably no, definitely probably not more than a Virgo, but I still think that Libras are very much controlled with image. Look at the ones I laid out. They're very much interested in control.
Control freaks in a passive aggressive way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, okay.
As a Libra rising.
So, there you go. You know.
Sorry, Andy.
Hey, man, I got a little bit of Scorpio in me, so you
Which
know
means
about that.
Yep.
A whole lot of drama. That's what that means right there.
All gas, no brakes.
And you know what? And you know what? That's why I'm so messed up.
You think so? You think?
Low key.
Because
we can do therapy later.
I mean, so here's the thing. Because your Libra side is trying to balance things out, and your Scorpio side is like destroy and conquer. It's go time. 100%. And you're trying to, deal with those two energies.
Do you know your rising and your moon sign?
I'm gonna have to check my what's that app with the moon?
The CoStar app or the Passive?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that.
Just slide me a note with your birthday. And we can do it right now on air.
Look, he's gonna break down your whole chart right on.
I did like a little Google research. The name of the cusp that I am is drama. The cusp of drama and criticism.
Yeah.
See?
Chaos.
See? Right there. Like you said, chaos. That's the word for it. Yeah.
I think he's got some earth. Because he's very, very grounded. So there's some earth in his chart somewhere. I need to know where it is.
You think his moon is an earth sign?
I think the rising is an earth sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the appearances of groundedness, but then you get into it and you're like gonna fly high or sink deep.
T. Swarns got mad because I came for the male Virgos. Don't start. Are you August or September, T. Swarns?
What are you, T. Swarns?
We'll wait for you, but
we'll wait for that. But in the meantime, in between time, right?
How do we start talking about astrology?
Because I said that male Libra. I was talking about celebrities and Doja and
the Libras.
Yeah, Doja and Cardi are both Libras, and then we rolled into. You know who else are Libras? And this is random, and I think they have the same birthday.
Who?
Kim Kardashian and Amber Rose. So anyway,
that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
You know what? Wow.
Right.
That makes wow.
Wow. Right.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of things clear, right?
September Virgo. A little bit better than the August ones.
Okay.
Not taking stabs at anybody in particular.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about Idris Elba. I spotted this on the Jasmine brand, and I thought this was interesting in light of the Monica incident that we talked about that happened over the weekend in Detroit, where Gunica showed out and showed up, So there's been some other angles of the video of that incident that happened on the floor that have been released. And in the video, the man is trying to restrain the woman, and the woman slapped the man, so he slapped her back, right? So, some people feel like you keep your hands to yourself regardless. And once she stopped doing that, all bets are off, right? But one of the interesting things that we noticed is that there didn't seem to be anyone coming to the aid of that woman or even stepping in to sort of break up the altercation, right? It seemed everyone was just kind of standing around looking. And so I thought that this was interesting. Idris Elba said he almost caught a bullet trying to defend a woman against her boyfriend one time. He said that he was out at a club and he saw a man outside the club and he was threatening a woman. He said the guy was wailing on his missus, screaming in her face, saying, "I'll kill you," and so on. "I come around. I look how beautiful she is. Why would you talk to the beautiful princess like that?" This is what Idris said he said. The guy pulled out a gun, stuck it in my face, and goes, "You're talking about my girl?" He thought that he was trying to hit on her when he really was just trying to stop the altercation. So do you think that and we'll get into this when we come forward, that the fear of further violence often stops people at this point in time from getting involved when they see something happening that's wrong. And the converse side of that is, but if that's the case, why is your first thought to take out your phone and record it? We'll get into all of that and more. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Journalist Jasmine Canick penned an article to let us know which LA activist was arrested for rape not once but 3 times. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News on KBLA Talk 1580. On record, Congresswoman Maxine Waters has filed a restraining order against LA activist Najee Ali. On IamJasmine.com, journalist Jasmine Canick reports that Ronald Todd Askew, better known in Los Angeles as Najee Ali, has been arrested for rape 3 times. Further, a video has circulated online that shows Ali physically attacking his wife. If you want to learn more, a website entitled TheRealNajeeAli.com has been created that shares Ali's arrest records, photos of him with public figures, and a list of his, quote, enablers, end quote. There's also a section on the website visitors can submit their own stories and reports of their own run-in with Ali.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried New Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in 1 wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. You are locked back in with RSVP with Jill Munroe. And VIPs, we are getting to it. We were talking about Idris Elba, and he had an altercation a few years back at a club where I guess a guy and his girlfriend were arguing out front, and he attempted to intervene, but, you know, it didn't work out so well. He ended up with a gun pulled on him. What I will say, though, is that Idris is definitely just that kind of guy, just a gentleman, a helpful sort. I will share a random story. This is like, yeah, here I go with my rant. We're going to start story time with Jill.
I love this, Jill. Not only do I love it, Andy loves it, and your listeners love it, because we're dying to know more about you. Peel back those layers. It's like onion skin. Come on, give it to us. We want to know. We want to connect. And listen, I'm telling you, the more you tell these stories, the more people are going to love you. The more they're going to call in and be all in your face trying to be your friend.
We'll see about that.
They're going to RSVP because people love these stories. I always get fascinated by the stories.
They should RSVP just because we have a good time and we
Yes.
have all the news early. So, okay, a few years back, I was in Vegas. It was like a club night. There used to be this club called OPM. I can't remember which hotel it was in. Maybe the Hard Rock. No, Planet Hollywood. I don't even think that hotel is there anymore. Anyway, I was there because it was a Too Short concert. It was in the middle of the summer. So I was walking past and like I was with some friends and we were like at another friend's section. So we were moving to leave out of the section and someone had knocked over a bottle of champagne because, you know, drunk people, whatever, right? Well, me, because sometimes things happen, I slipped in the champagne.
Oh my God.
And I had on a dress and my heels. And when I say I slipped, it was a real slip, like feet in the air.
Oh my God.
It was all, stop it. It was black. It was going down. I was about to fall and bust my behind in the middle of the club and be totally embarrassed and smell like champagne to boot. But you know who swooped in and caught me and
what kind of
saved
champagne
my
was it,
life?
though?
I don't know. I didn't look at the bottle. I didn't even see the bottle. Hence why I almost busted my behind and slipped in the club. And Idris Elba rushed in and saved me. He caught me.
Oh, wow.
And like midair. And I looked over and he like politely put me back on my feet. And I was
Wow.
like, thank you. And that was it. So Idris Elba saved my life in the club.
No picture snap? No. Oh.
Why? Why would we do that?
Just for the moment, you know what I'm saying?
He saved me from an embarrassing moment in the club. It was a moment, and that was that. We walked away. But back to this thing. Do you think that we are at a point in time where men or people are really not, they're sort of hesitant to get involved if they see an altercation or a situation happening between anyone, whether it's a man and a woman or, you know, two people at this point in time, because they're concerned about, and not that it's a wrong thing, about their safety or about the threat of further violence against themselves?
You know, I think, unfortunately, that we live in a society where people are just looking for the moment or to capture the moment and not necessarily be involved in the moment. That is their involvement, is to record and not stop the crime. I am a person of a certain age, so I'm not breaking out the camera. I'm trying to jump in the action and diffuse it, especially if it's a black woman or a child getting hurt. If it's two dudes going to blows, that's their business. But if I feel it's a situation where the woman was, or a child was, you know, really in harm's danger, I'm jumping in the action.
So forensic accountant said, let law enforcement handle all of that. T. Sworn said, Idris, that's a Virgo male homie. So I guess that's 2 votes for Virgo males out there in the chat. Shout out to that. I do think that it's interesting that where we are at a time, because the cell phone and recording of cell phone video has been so helpful in certain instances.
Yes.
There are situations and times that if we did not have that cell phone video, we wouldn't be able to prove that a crime took place,
yes,
or that law enforcement officials or others were acting inappropriately. But at the same time, sometimes you wonder, like, for some of these people, what are you recording for? Are you going to try and go sell that to TMZ? Like, what are you really recording some of these things for?
To talk about it. Oh, look what happened today when I was, you know, people, I think that with these cameras, just like any other situation, people want to be taken out of their own lives. So they'll do anything to be taken out of their own lives, even if that means recording a situation at the expense of somebody else so they can actually talk about it and not do anything about it. That's just where we are.
I think back, there was a crime that happened, and I believe a movie or a TV movie was made about it. It was in the 60s, and it was about a woman named Teresa. I want to say it's Saldana, but that might not be it. But I do believe her first name was Teresa. And she was attacked in broad daylight, maybe early evening, outside of her building. And all of these people were in their apartments, and they saw the crime. Some of them even came over and closed their window, but they wouldn't talk to the police when they came. And I can't remember, it's a phenomenon that is called, where, you know, the group just sort of folds within and they don't respond to it. And it seems like at this point in time, like, it's so crazy that we have so many cameras, so much access, but there's still so many things that fly under the radar. People are hesitant to get involved. Carrie Webb in the chat says, I once stopped a physical fight between a man and a woman, and the female actually got mad at me. I was like, what? And T. Sworn says that happens far too often. So, you know, I guess sometimes you can't interfere.
Shout out to Carrie. I know Carrie. I didn't know she.
Carrie?
I didn't know she was watching tonight.
Well, Carrie, thank you for checking out Trent and RSVP for supporting us. You know, the chat is always lit. You guys are keeping up the comments going. The chat is going. But remember, you can call in 800-920-1580 if you want to add your comment to the mix. Do you think that we'll ever return to a time where chivalry has returned? Or are we too far into obliterating the gender roles for people for that aspect to come back into play? Because some women are offended by it. Why are you holding the door for me? I can get the door myself. That type of thing. So what are your thoughts?
You know, I think that at some point society is going to reset. I think all the signs are pointing to it. We've actually got aliens, you know, coming from outer space now. We always known that, but there's going to come into a point in time where things either, you know, reset and they default back to the way that they were, or we just have to start over from scratch, because it's too much going on in society. Everything is combustible. Like, something is bound to happen. You can feel it when you go outside. So, you know, hopefully one day. But what I will say is, I think that there are certain people in the world who remember how things were and they still operate on those values. So there's always going to be that one person to come and save the day.
I mean, we hope so. Listen, I just, it seems like we're so far beyond that. It seems like that extending those type of, that bit of kindness or being aware of others and sort of acting in that community thing, sometimes it appears that the idea of community is just something to have conversation about online, and that people aren't really serious about, you know, coming together and working through that.
That's true. Some ways, but I also think that is what whatever you make your reality to be. Sometimes, you know, and I feel that way sometimes, like, you know, I wish, you know, people were more thoughtful or more this or more that. I try to stick to those values, and at some point they eventually return to me in my life. So that's the way I try to be positive about things. They come back eventually, not where you necessarily want them, but they do, you know, come back.
Okay. And shout out to Pretty Brown Mimi in the chat. She confirmed it is Teresa Saldana, and she said that it happened in the 80s. I'm not sure about that. I know the TV movie came out where she played herself in it. That was in 1984, and she was a big advocate for victims as far as stalking. She founded the Victims for Victims organization, and they established a great deal of anti-stalking laws, some of which we have currently to this day. When we come forward, we're going to get into Kevin Durant and his thoughts about weed and how he helped shape the new rules in the NBA surrounding that. We're going to talk about our Tubi review of Cinnamon, and we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You are listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
For real.